I found out the truth on December 23rd, standing in our living room while the Christmas tree lights blinked softly, and she said words I'll never forget. "I invited my ex for Christmas. If you loved me, you'd get it." Her voice was calm, almost casual, like she was announcing the weather, not the collapse of everything I believed in. I froze, holding a mug of lukewarm coffee, my chest tight, my mind spinning. For a moment I thought I misheard her, that maybe this was some sick joke. But the way she looked at me, with that strange mix of guilt and entitlement, told me otherwise. I wanted to speak, to scream, to throw the nearest ornament at her, but nothing came out. I just stood there, watching her, trying to reconcile the woman I loved with the one who could say something so cruel. All I could feel was a hollow ache, as if my heart had been punched, and I was still floating in disbelief. Weeks before, I'd noticed the little things. The late-night texts she hid when I walked into the room. The way she'd smile at her phone with a softness that wasn't for me. The tiny gaps in her stories that I brushed off as fatigue or stress. I told myself I was imagining things. Love makes you blind, I thought. But now the truth hit me like ice water. I had been ignoring the warning signs, letting her rewrite reality while I clung to illusions. That night I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I packed a small bag, the one I kept in case of emergencies, and left our house without a word. Her puzzled, annoyed expression followed me to the door. But I just walked, the winter air sharp against my skin, each step heavier than the last. I drove aimlessly, letting the city lights blur past, every traffic signal a punctuation mark in my mind. By morning I had a plan. Not a vengeful, melodramatic plan. I'm not that person, but a calculated one. I wanted her to feel the absence of what she had taken for granted. I wanted her to understand the cost of treating love like a game. I started small. I didn't answer her calls, didn't reply to her texts. I changed my routines, stopped visiting the places we used to go together. Friends noticed my absence from gatherings, my silence at dinner parties, but I didn't care. For the first time, I existed only for myself. Then I took it a step further. I knew she loved showing off our home during the holidays, boasting about the perfect life we shared. So I hired a professional cleaner to come the next day and turn our living room upside down. Misplaced ornaments, half-decorated tree, a note subtly hinting she had overlooked important details. Nothing malicious, just the stark reminder that perfection requires effort, honesty, and respect. I watched from a distance as she returned, expecting me to be there, expecting comfort, and instead finding the disruption. Her shock was immediate. She tried to call me, her voice trembling, but I stayed silent. I wanted her to feel, even for a moment, the chaos she'd invited into our lives. Then came Christmas Eve. She had her ex over, laughing, hugging, carrying on as if nothing had happened. I drove past, unseen, my hands tight on the steering wheel, my chest heavy with something between fury and sorrow. And I realized, as I watched her smile at him, that my revenge didn't need to be loud or dramatic. My absence, my choice to reclaim my life quietly, was punishment enough. By Christmas morning I was gone. I had rented a small cabin outside the city, a place where silence wasn't lonely, where the wind and the snow were my companions. I made breakfast for one, drank my coffee slowly, and finally let myself cry. Not for her, not for the betrayal, but for the love I had given freely, the trust one had offered blindly. I didn't expect her to call. When she did, days later, it was frantic, pleading. She asked where I was, what I was doing, begging for explanation, for reunion. I listened carefully, letting her words hang in the air. Then I said simply, "If you loved me, you wouldn't have invited him. You made your choice. I'm making mine." There was silence on the line, a pause so thick it felt like years. And in that pause, I understood something vital. Revenge isn't always fireworks or public humiliation. Sometimes the most satisfying revenge is the quiet reclamation of yourself, the refusal to be diminished by someone else's betrayal. Weeks passed. I started new routines, met new people, found joy in small things that had been dulled by heartbreak. I didn't hate her, hate is heavy, and I was learning to be lighter, but I respected myself for walking away, for not letting her define my worth. And somewhere deep down I think she realized it too. I don't know if she understood the depth of what she lost, but I knew I had gained something far more precious. My freedom, my dignity, my life untethered from someone who could betray me so casually. The house she once called ours remained her stage, but it no longer held me hostage. And as I sipped my coffee by the cabin window, watching snow drift gently over the pines, I felt the quiet thrill of a victory she couldn't touch. A victory not of malice but of self-respect. I had lost love, yes, but I had found myself. And that, I realized, was the most epic revenge of all.